What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Daily Betslip. Peter Dewey, alongside my guy Donnavan Smoot, producer Joanne Stoner. We're holding it down for you guys. Little NBA playoffs action tonight. I know Donovan's got some NHL and WNBA picks in here. I might sprinkle in a little baseball as well. But when it's the two of us, we're talking some hoops. That's what we're about to do for a good hour here. So stay tuned with us. Get our best bets. We're gonna break down our game of the night: Celtics Heat. Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals, get into a little bad beat action. And like I said, we got some picks across several different sports. So Donnavan, how you doing, my guy?
Dude, I'm doing great. I'm super excited for this game too tonight. I think the conference finals, the second round is like the best round because you have like multiple games every night. But
Mm-hmm.
like seeing who's about to go to the finals is really, really exciting. And like I'm all in. Like I have a clear side that I want in terms of like who I want. So the series is extremely fun.
I'm also excited that they did it this year, where it's like we got a game every other night.
Yeah.
Because like I always get nervous with like that one, because they happen a couple times in the second round. That one night of no basketball, and you're just looking around, you're like, what am I gonna do tonight? Like
Yeah.
no playoff games. So I love the every other night. They got to keep that going, because it's also, especially since they're starting these so late. Like this game, two East Coast teams at 8:30. Like I'm like, all right, I'm fine with one game if that's when you're going to start it. Like if we were starting the game at 7, maybe not. But game 1 was fun. Al Horford is back tonight. So is Marcus Smart. So we will get into that. But first, little bad beat of the day, Donnavan. A little baseball bad beat.
Okay.
Yesterday had Braves Brewers, and if you were back in the Braves, yeah, rough one, real rough one. Kenley Jansen, who is one of the best closers in all of baseball, they were up 4-3 in the ninth inning. He allows a run. And I think this is the part where it gets the worst, is the Braves scored in both the 10th and the 11th inning, and the bullpen gave it up in both innings as well. They ended up giving up 2 runs in the 11th to lose 7-6. So if you were on Braves money line or Braves run line, no, I believe they were underdogs in that game. So if you're on Braves money line, very tough beat. Very rare that you see a Kenley Jansen blown save.
No. And I'll say this, I would so much rather even if I'm losing every bet, please let me lose the bet early so that I can just like know that this is the way that my night's gonna go, rather than like staying up, right? 2 extra innings of baseball, and then at the end of it, I leave with just nothing, and now I'm tired the next morning. Like, please, if you're gonna lose, just like think of me and lose early because that was terrible.
That's what I love with like when I'm betting player props. Like if guy doesn't have it that night and I took his over on points, like let him go 0 for 6 in the first quarter. Get it out of the way. Like I know it's over. Because if you get one of those where it's like they're hanging around, you're like, I just need 5 points in the last 3 minutes. Like, no, don't put me in those scenarios. Like if I'm gonna lose, just let me lose very easily. Put me down very easily. So I mean, hey, it's a tough beat, but hopefully nothing bad in baseball today. We almost had a tough beat if you were an Orioles better today, but they ended up coming back, beat the Yankees in extra innings. So very tough for my Yankees. Donovan, let's dive into best bets, my guy.
Let's
What do we
do it.
got tonight? You want to alternate? We'll go a little 1-and-1 action.
Yeah, yeah. We'll go back and forth. We'll go back and forth on this one, and I'll start on this one.
All right, all right.
So I'm gonna actually start off with the parlay, right?
Ooh,
That's right. We got a little lay action, look, and it's actually a collab parlay, right? Big things between me and Ben Heisler. Our best bets for the WNBA tonight. So I'm on Aces -11 versus the Lynx tonight. He's on Mercury -5. Uh, both parlays come out to be +264. I like the Aces in this spot because they're 4-1 on the season. The only game that they lost were to the Mystics, and then every other game I believe that they've won by this margin. Like the Aces are super super dominant. They have extreme depth. Becky Hammond has come in, and the Aces, they were the title favorite coming into the season. Through the first 5 games of the year, they look fantastic as well. So I'm putting all of my trust in them. And then on the other side, in they're 2-2, but the only 2 games that they've lost have been to Las Vegas, right? They've lost them twice, but they've won the other 2. I know we saw the little like spat between Skylar Diggins and Diana Taurasi the other night. I'm very curious as to what was said that made Skylar get up like that, and that made Taurasi get up like that. But listen, they are two veteran competitors. They have championship aspirations. Like this is going to happen over the course of a season. So I'm not really putting too much stock into it. And tonight I think that they have a really good chance of covering this -5. So plus 264 on the parlay. I think both games start around 9 o'clock Eastern, so a little bit of like a late night parlay sweat. But me and Ben collabed on this one, and that's what we're pushing.
Do we think so? I'm thinking this. Do we think little Skylar Diggins like revenge slash I'll show you type of game tonight? She might go off because she's a little pissed at her own teammate.
I don't know. Because and so like obviously the whole stuff with Brittany Griner is just like crazy. Um and so they're obviously gonna need until she comes back just a lot of scoring from her and from Tarasi. Um I don't know. I would have to see her player prop line. I don't think WinBet offers them, but we can set them ourselves. I would say like if we're talking 15 and a half, I'll take the over. I'll take the
Yeah.
over on 15 and a half.
Hell yeah. Hell
Yeah.
yeah. That's a fun backcourt though, if they can if the two of them can get along. I see Ben chiming in, said that Tarazi Skylar fight is the WNBA's Miami Heat moment. They're coming out and whooping the Wings tonight. Honestly, on topic too, because ever since Jimmy Butler and Eric Spoelstra almost came to blows in the huddle, the Heat have looked really good too. So
Everybody was overreacting. That's Heat culture.
that is true.
That's what they do. That's
That's
what they
yeah.
do.
I don't hate that. Sometimes you need that. Like when you have like a really good team and a lot of star players, sometimes you need that moment where you kind of come to like it all comes to a head and then you're like, okay, we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
I don't mind that at all.
Yeah. So I think Ben and I are on the same wave. I think you are as well. Like we're both on this Mercury train tonight, both on the Aces train. So plus 264 for that parlay. That's where we're gonna start the night.
I like that a lot. I like that a lot. All right, so I'll dive into my first pick. I'm gonna give my MLB pick out. Because this one I love, and I know Joanne is gonna love this one because I'm backing her Diamondbacks tonight. I'm taking Diamondbacks Cubs first 5 innings under 4.5. It's -115 at WinBet. This is really just like a back Zach Gallen prop because that dude is unreal right now. You look at some of his stats this year. He's got a 1.05 ERA, 96th percentile in Major League Baseball in expected ERA, expected batting average against, and expected weighted on base average, which is just absolutely insane. He is a top candidate probably right now for the NL Cy Young. Big reason why the Diamondbacks have been a surprising team this year. And they're taking on a Cubs team. Both these teams, Donovan, are not great offensively. Both in the bottom half of the league in OPS and runs scored this year. And Chicago's got Marcus Stroman going. And so when I normally take these first 5 inning props, I like to go unders when it's two pitchers that I really like. And Marcus Stroman has not been great this year, but you look at his last 2 starts, he's thrown 13 innings and allowed just 2 earned runs. So really starting to round into form here. And like I said, the Diamondbacks, they're, I believe, 24th in OPS and 24th or 23rd in runs scored this year. So they're not winning games, at the plate. They've actually pitched very well this season. That's kind of been their calling card. So 2 good starters, first 5 innings. If Zach Gallen keeps doing what he's been doing, he probably doesn't even give up a run. So then you're just seeing can Stroman hold them under 5 runs? I think he does. So like the under 4.5 here.
Okay. I get it in terms of like backing pitches. Yeah, dude, betting unders is so stressful.
Yeah.
I try to stay away from betting unders just because you like. I feel the most like degenerate when I'm betting when I'm betting unders because that's when I like start to like count like points and start and counting runs and stuff. So that is an instant sweat, but I like the play though.
I hate betting unders in like total games in the NBA. Like I did it a few times this year, and I really try to stay away from totals in the NBA because it's so volatile. Like
Yeah,
if somebody just doesn't have it
especially in
that
the
night,
regular season.
yeah, like if somebody just doesn't have it that night, you're done from the jump. But I will say in baseball, I find it a little bit easier with like good pitchers. The other thing I've liked doing in the playoffs is taking under PRAs for guys. I took Luca's under PRA last night. I've talked it like 3 straight games. It's because they keep setting the line in the 50s. And I'm just like, do you realize how good a game he has to have 50 PR? Like he has to go crazy.
Yeah.
And like he's going crazy and he's finishing in the mid 40s. And it's like, yeah, I will take the under every single time then. But yeah, that is true. Cause like unders, you like get a good first quarter out of somebody or something, or a good first couple innings, and you're like, oh my God, now you're like counting every
Yeah.
single out. So
Yeah.
I feel that. But I think this one, with the way Gallon's pitched, I think it's gonna be pretty solid.
Okay. Okay. I'll go with my next pick. So I'm gonna go to the NHL. We got Stanley Cup playoffs going on. I'm taking the Blues plus one and a half versus the Avalanche. It's minus 125. So there's two things. So one, I might get aggressive on this one. I might sprinkle on the money line because I think that they are live to win. The Let me see what they're at right now. I think the last time that I checked, they were plus 200 to win tonight. Yeah, so they're plus 200 to beat the Avalanche tonight. They pushed Colorado in game 1, and Colorado was able to sneak out the win, gut it out. But before the series, I had Blues in 7. So listen, I think that they're going to lose 3 times in the series, and so that's okay. But I do think that one, they're not going to get blown out. They can very much stay with Colorado, and like Colorado's offense is really good, but at the same time, this is a St. Louis team that was able to finish off Minnesota in less than 7 games. Their defense is coming around, and so if you're telling me, within 2 goals of Colorado, yeah, that's for sure going to be in play. I like that a lot. And so I think that this is a really good opportunity for St. Louis to tie the series up at 1-1 going back home. And so I'm minus 125. Like the juice isn't crazy. And so I think especially in the NHL playoffs, we're going to start seeing a lot of like close games. You saw the Rangers game
Mm-hmm.
last night going to overtime. We've seen a lot of overtime games already, especially in like game 6, game 7 of the first round. So I think that trend is going to continue now. And so St. Louis, I I just don't see them getting blown out. So plus 1.5, minus 125. That's why I'm looking for the NHL tonight.
I don't know much hockey, but I know Ian has been saying that the Blues are like the best shooting team in the NHL. So I'm assuming that factors into this one for you.
Yeah, just a little bit.
I
Yeah.
like it. I like it a lot.
Okay.
I'm excited for NHL. I've watched a little bit of NHL playoffs because like now that we only have one NBA game, I'll put the 2 TVs and do the one NHL, one NBA, and like it is fun. I won't lie. I don't really understand half the time like how like I swear I will look away for half a second, they score a goal, and I'm like they were not even close to like
Yeah.
scoring. How did this happen so quickly? Um, but it is entertaining because it is very fast paced. So I do mess with that. I'll dive into my next bet. I have a bunch of bets on this Heat game. I'm gonna look at Victor Oladipo here though, over 7.5 points. And don't worry, for game of the night, I got my best bet. Also had a Peters primetime parlay that's over at BetSided today. It's 4 picks. I believe plus 225 odds. So check that one out after this stream. If you want to tail me on that one, let me know on Twitter. But I like Victor Oladipo in this spot, Donovan. I'm intrigued to get your take on this because Eric Spoelstra's put him in the rotation. Basically, they pulled Duncan Robinson because he's a defensive liability, and he really hasn't shot the ball as well as they would probably like from him for what he did in previous years this season. So it's been Victor Oladipo who's gotten the minutes. Last game, he only played 15 minutes, took 9 shots in 15 minutes. So like when he's out there, he's looking to score. They're kind of looking without Kyle Lowry for him to kind of facilitate some of the offense along with Jimmy Butler. Like Gabe Vincent's the only other really true guard they have out there. And he's not even really a true point guard. So it's going to be a lot of the ball in the hands of Jimmy Butler, Victor Oladipo. You look at what he's done over these playoffs, averaging 10.7 points per game, taking 9.2 shots per game. And Derek White is out for the Celtics tonight, which I think helps Oladipo in terms of he might be the one who gets switched on Peyton Pritchard a couple times on the defensive end, which will be helpful for him. Just an easier matchup to go score. But the thing I look at with Oladipo is just crazy volume. I know he hasn't hit this number in every single game, but like he's taking a ton of shots. When he's in there, he is chucking. So if he takes 9 shots, like, yeah, I like a chance of him to go, 4 for 9. And if he hits a 3, maybe he only needs to go like 3 for 8 and he gets a free throw or something. Like it is very this is a very doable number for him, especially considering he's seeing 15 plus points and almost 10 shots a game.
Yeah, I think this one's very interesting. I even though that's only 7.5, I think you're kind of getting bold on this one because I think with Oladipo, I it's weird because that combination of Vincent, Oladipo, and Hero in the backcourt, it's especially with Hero not being like Tyler Hero, right? Like in these playoffs, he hasn't been fantastic, and so you kind of see this like three-headed monster at the guard position kind of rotating. So I kind of I think that your head is in the right place on this one. I'm not sure if I would tail it just because I'm not sure if Oladipo is gonna be is two things. I don't know if he's gonna be able to get to the rim as easy, especially with Horford back. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you have Al Horford there and then you don't have like a tired Robert Williams, you're not going to be able to get to the rim as easy. Also, last game the game really opened up obviously like in the third quarter when the Heat, took that insane run. If you don't have that and it's kind of and it's like a slower paced game, I don't know if the shots are all the way there for Oladipo tonight. And so I think for a lot of the Heat players, their totals, their point totals might be a little bit inflated because of what happened last game. Now, that's a little contradictory to where I'm going to go later, but I still think that like the Oladipo one, it's not a lock, you know.
No,
So
I agree with that.
yeah,
It's definitely not a lock. I just think, like, and my thing is like, if you're gonna get plenty of shots, like, I think there's a chance you
yeah,
can get this. If he takes, he's averaging 9.2 shots. Like, if he takes 9 shots, 8 shots in this game, like, I'm hoping at that point he shoots 30-40% and he comes close to this number, basically. Like, if they're gonna have to get him the ball because, like you said, like Smart is back, Horford's back. Like Jimmy Butler isn't just going to be able to score 41 points. So I think somebody else is going to have to step up. Maybe it's Tyler Hero again. He had a good game one, but Oladipo 7.5. I feel like it's really low. Like I saw earlier in the playoffs after a couple of his 20-point games, he was like in the double digits. So like to get it all the way down at this number, I'm
to
like,
7.
yeah, I think he can get there.
That's fair. That's fair. And so yeah, so I'm not crazy about it, but I'm not gonna sit here and like dog you about it. It's a solid play. Uh, I'm I'm gonna go to my last one, and so I'm actually gonna take somebody's over in the same game. I'm gonna take the over on Jason Tatum's points. His line's at 28 and a half, minus 130. So he's cleared this in four of his last 5 games. And if there was one thing that I was able to take away from game one, outside of just like playoff Jimmy Butler is that guy, um, Jason Tatum is that guy. There's nobody on the Heat who can guard him one on one. Like PJ Tucker is going to make it hard for him to catch the ball, and he's going to be physical, but he's also going to get a lot of fouls on Jason Tatum. If the refs are going to be a little bit tighter in game two, Tatum's going to go to the free throw line a lot. He had like 16, 17 points in the first half. He was killing them. And the thing about Tatum is that since that game six, from game six, game seven, and then game one, it's very small, but it's also something that's like huge. When he shoots the ball, he's not hitting rim on any of his shots. Like everything for Tatum in the last 3 games has been complete rhythm. He's been completely in the zone, and so I really like this over for him. Um, I think that he's going to be able to get to shoot better from three. He shot 2 of 9 the last game. If he can get going from the outside early, and maybe that I think that's going to set him up a little bit more later in the game. But like the last 5 games for Tatum look like 29 points. Then he had 23 in game seven against the Bucks, but then it was 46, 34, 30. He had the other bad game in Milwaukee, but then 29. Like Tatum he is the offensive engine for Boston. He's gonna get all the touches, he's gonna get all the shots. And if Marcus Smart isn't there tonight, then Tatum is gonna get even more shots on top of that.
The
So
thing I don't mind that. The thing that worries me a little bit with the Tatum is I feel like if Horford and Smart's probable and Horford, they're saying he is playing.
Yeah.
I wonder if he sees a few less minutes, few less shots tonight. Because he played like what 44 minutes in game one because they like had to. They didn't have anyone else.
Mhm.
But at the same time, you're right. Like the volume's been there for him. So I like the play. Like similar to your thoughts on my Oladipo one.
Mhm.
Like I see where your vision where you're thinking. I don't know if I'm gonna tail it just because I feel like, and I agree with you, there's going to be some kind of scoring regression because we saw the total is 204 in game one. It finished at 225. What the final score ended up being. Like these are two top four defenses, both two teams who play bottom 10 in pace. I get a little nervous. Like I like stayed away from Jimmy Butler overs today, and that's like been my bread and butter. I've been
Yeah.
taking his over PRA like all postseason, and I stayed away from it because I was like, it's either one going to be a really public play, or two, like just it's gotten to a point where it's like it feels like it's gonna like the bubble is gonna burst, and you're like
Mhm.
it's gonna go back down. I'm worried Tatum might be getting to that point, but at the same time, like you make the point, he's done it in 4 or 5, and like I've probably thought the last like 3 games, like he's due for like the lower game, and it just hasn't happened.
Yeah, and on top, and so to your point about the minutes, he's gonna play less minutes, right?
Hmm.
He's at 44. He'll probably still be around like the high 30s, early 40s because if you look at the Bucks series, right? If you look at the Bucks series, he played 40 minutes 5 straight games. He played it from game actually no, game one, two, three, four, five, six. Every game except for game seven, when they blew them out by 28, he played 40 minutes. So
Okay.
he's going to be on the floor. And then in terms of like shot volume, in the third quarter, there was a point where Miami was going and they flashed to Tatum, and he had only taken 3 shots. Right, Miami was able to kind of run them out the gym, and Tatum was very very quiet to start the second half. I don't think that he's gonna do that again. I think that he's knows that like, hey, this is like we can't go down 0-2
Yeah.
in right against Miami. He only had 21 shots. I actually think that number is going to go up to about 24. So that's really why I'm backing it because I actually think that he's going to get more volume tonight. He's going to be more aggressive on that end. So that's one of the main reasons why I'm backing Tatum tonight.
I think that makes sense. That makes complete sense. I will take it to my last one here.
Okay.
Another Heat Celtics pick, and I got one more for game of the night because why not? Taking Tyler Hero under 22 and a half points, rebounds, and assists, minus 105. This goes into what I said a little bit about the Tatum. Like, I feel like the bubble is going to burst in this series where at some point we are going to get like this lower scoring game. And like Victor Oladipo's number is so low. That's why I'm taking the over there. Tyler Hero was great in game one. Do not get me wrong. He had 18, 8, and 3, was fantastic. Probably the best game he's played in these playoffs, which is what brings me to the under in this bet. You look at what Tyler Hero has done in these playoffs. He's only cleared this 4 of 12 games. And in every single one of the games that he went over 22 and a half points, rebounds, and assists, he scored 18 or more points. He had 2 18-point games, a 25-point game, and a 24-point game. One of those games Jimmy Butler didn't play in. So I am a little nervous against this Boston defense that now is going to have Marcus Smart back, is going to have Al Horford back. I just don't know if Tyler Hero has a crazy scoring game, and I think that ends up leading him to the under on this. And you look at what Tyler Hero did in that last game, he didn't kill them from behind the arc. He only hit 1 3. The difference was is he was able to get into the lane and he was able to hit some floaters, hit some short jump shots because, it was Daniel Tice at points in the game. There was no Marcus Smart on the perimeter. Now, for Boston, yes, Derek White is out, but you're plug and playing Marcus Smart. You add Al Horford, who's a better perimeter defender as a big, and then also just he's going to be an added rim protector. I think that makes life a little bit harder on Tyler Hero. I think he's going to have to probably settle for more jump shots. And he really hasn't shot the ball that great in these playoffs. And that is like the thing I thought coming into this series for Miami. Like Tyler Hero averaged 20 points a game in the regular season. He's averaging 14.2 in the playoffs, and he's shooting only 42.5% from the field. So that for me is like he's going to have to take a serious leap. I don't think he does it against the number one defense in the NBA. Like he had the good game in game one. I think he's due for a little bit of regression here. And the other thing with Hero, and then I want to get your thoughts on this. Like he has these like outlier rebound games. Like he had 8 last game. He had 10 in game 4 against Philly. He had 8 in game 2 against Philly. He had 7 in game 3 against Atlanta. The rest of the time, it's like 3 boards, 3 boards, 1 board, 4 boards, 2 boards. Like he has these weird games where it's like, oh, he gets a ton of rebounds. And then most of the time he ends up middling out is like, he's averaging for the playoffs 4.6 rebounds a game. So I'm kind of going against both the outlier rebounding game and the outlier scoring game. It's two of his best games on both sides in that last game. I think he goes under here. I just don't think he facilitates enough where it's like, yeah, Tyler Hero's not going to have like a 7 assist game that kind of pushes this over.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And the only way that I could see him clearing this is if he finally has a good night from 3.
Mm-hmm.
But he hasn't shot over 30% from 3 since like game 2 of the Sixers series. Like it's been a while. His 3-point shooting in these playoffs has been abysmal. He's gone the last 3 games for him. He's gone 1 of 5, 0 for 2, 0 for 2. Then even the game before that, 1 of 5. So I'm with you on this one. I think that, and especially at like close to plus money, being able to fade this, I think you're getting a lot of value here, and fading both the points and the rebounds is really, really smart.
Yeah, here also, like you said, 26.7% from 3 in this series or in the playoffs. So like he's not shooting. Like if they're gonna run plays to get a 3, it's for Max Strus. They're not running them for Tyler Hero. So that's kind of my thinking. Like, who knows? He could have another great scoring game. Like if he scores 18 points, he's probably going over this. But at the same time, if he scores like 12 points, now you're saying, am I going to get 11 rebounds and assists from Tyler Hero? I would take the under on that every single time. So that's kind of my thought process. I just don't think that the scoring keeps up at this kind of a rate against a really strong Boston team. Let's get into a fun little future segment here, a little finals MVP action. Don't have the odds necessarily at WinBet right now, obviously, because the finals haven't started, but we got 4 teams left, so we kind of know the candidates around and into form here. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go to you first. Who is your pick right now if you had to choose to win finals MVP?
Well, all right, so we actually have the same like top pick, and so I'm gonna let you do that. But if we're talking about, I'll stick to the game of the night theme that we have. And so out of these 2 teams, who do I think is the best candidate for finals MVP? I think it's Jimmy Butler. For 2 reasons. One, I think the Heat are going to win this series and they're going to be in the finals. And 2, like we said earlier, Jimmy Butler playoff Jimmy is a real thing, right? He's had one of the graphics that shocked me so much from game 1 is that Jimmy Butler is second all time in Miami Heat franchise history in 40-point playoff games. Right?
That's wild.
It's Dwayne Wade first with 7. And the 2 other things that shocked me is, one, like LeBron didn't have, right? Like LeBron didn't have 6 playoff games with 40. That seems very unlikely. And then 2, Jimmy Butler's only been in Miami for 3 years. They've made the playoffs 3 times, and they got bounced in the first round last year.
And he was horrible last year. He definitely didn't have a 40-point game last year.
Exactly. No, he had 2 in the bubble, and then he's had 3 this postseason. So Butler in the postseason raises his game to a whole nother level. And I think that if Miami is able to beat Golden State, it's going to be because Jimmy Butler's the one stirring the drink. He's gonna be averaging 25 points per game. He's gonna have his moments defensively where he's guarding Steph Curry or Klay Thompson and Jordan Poole. He's gonna have a couple of those 8 assist games, 8 rebounds games. Like his stat line is gonna be very well rounded. If the Heat end up winning this series and obviously like winning the finals, he's the best player on the team. And so he's going to get the first look. So I think that he's going to be the guy for Miami. And I want to get your thoughts on this because I was talking with some friends today, and they were saying like, oh, Jimmy Butler's like his legacy is going to be very like weird to talk about. And I said Jimmy Butler is just this generation's Chauncey Billups. Like
I think he might be better than that.
That's how I see him. And maybe he ends up being better, but in terms of like how we look at at Jimmy Butler, like you see a guy who's very solid in the regular season, like a really good player, top 15, top 20 player. But like if you look at their accolades, it's very, very similar. Like Chauncey is a 5-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA, 2-time defensive player, 2-time All-Defense, and then he has the championship in the Finals MVPs. And then Jimmy Butler, 6-time All-Star, 4-time All-NBA, 5-time All-Defensive team. Like
Yeah, I just
that's
looked it up. They are very close. That is kind of
right,
crazy.
right. So that's who it is, and so that's why I'm like, if he gets into that stage, Jimmy Butler is going to rise to the occasion, and he's just going to be Chauncey Billups 2.0, but like from a forward standpoint, and he'll probably end up winning that award.
I don't hate that comparison. I didn't realize that Chauncey Billups had that. That's actually pretty crazy. Jimmy Butler probably going to add another All NBA this year and potentially another All Defensive team. I'm not sure if he'll sneak on to the second team. I don't know if he goes first team this year, but if Jimmy Butler gets a ring, dude, like I was thinking about this the other night. Do you like how many guys in the NBA would you take over Jimmy Butler? And like I'm starting to wonder if he's in that top 10, top 15, like guaranteed conversation because like yeah, there's definitely guys that I would take over him, but at the same time, it's like how many guys in the NBA right now are on a team with no real second star? Like Bam Adebayo is a great player. We've seen
He's
it in
faded
the
a lot
playoffs.
in these playoffs.
Yeah. Bam Adebayo is not a guy you're relying on to like go get you 20. Like he averaged 19 a game in the regular season. He's averaging like 14 a game in the playoffs. Like you can't give Bam Adebayo the ball and say, go get a basket for us, like in a big spot. Miami doesn't really have,
the rebounding numbers are down as well. He averaged like
he's
10.
10 to 7.
Yeah. So
it's crazy.
So and Lowry's out as well.
Yeah. So like I like wonder how many in that first finals they went to, I know it was in the bubble and Bam played well, but like I mean Goran Dragic, like that was the third best player on that team. So Jimmy Butler, it's extremely impressive what he's done. And obviously, like Eric Spoelstra deserves some credit. Pat Riley deserves some credit. Like this is an extremely well-built team. Like we talk about the NBA and it feels it's a stars league. I get that. Like best players, like a lot of the time we expect them to win. But like you look at all the guys who've already gotten eliminated, like Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Like all these guys that are, superstar players that you're like, yeah, they're going to carry a team by themselves. Like they can do it. They have gotten eliminated, and Jimmy Butler somehow is still kicking out here. So, got to give him a ton of credit. Obviously, they have a great system there. I like him a lot for Finals MVP if the Heat can win the series. I think different than you, I'm not sure Miami wins this series. I still am I debated betting Boston after game 1 to win the series, but I didn't because I didn't know if Horford, Smart, etc. was going to be back tonight. And then I'm still staying away because Derek White's out tonight. So I'm like, let me make sure the Celtics are actually going to have everybody before I sink anything into this series. But yeah, if they get there, like if Miami gets there, I don't think anybody else has a chance to win Finals MVP if they win other than Jimmy Butler, unless Bam has some crazy series. Because the way that team is built is like it's a different guy every other night, and Jimmy is the guy who gets everything, and then it's like somebody else steps up. Like last game 1, it was Tyler Hero. Back in the Sixers series, like there was the Max Strus game, there was a Victor Oladipo game. Like it all depends. So yeah. I like that pick a lot. I think, especially because he's probably behind like Luka, Steph, Tatum, I'd assume in the odds.
He might be. Honestly, I feel like he low-key might be second just because they're up 1-0, and I know that the Heat are. True. I know that the Heat are the favorites to win this series right now. So he probably has a slight edge over those two guys. But listen, I'm glad you see the vision though.
I see it for sure.
All right, go ahead and tell the people who like our actual pick is though.
Yeah, listen, I'm glad we're on the same page with this one. Steph Curry. Please let Steph Curry get his Finals MVP, man. Can somebody please let Steph Curry get his Finals MVP? Because I will say this right now. I do not care what other people think. They robbed him of the MVP the year Iguodala won, and they robbed him of the MVP the second one KD got. Because if Steph's, what was it, his game 3, he didn't have a good game, but he dominated games 1, 2, and 4. He was the best player on the floor, and they're like, oh, but KD had a good game 3. So KD had 4 good games. Steph had 3 dominant games. We're giving it to KD. I see it, but like I still think he should have gotten at least one of those 3, if not 2. So that's my first thing. He should already have one. the thing, and I talked about this with Nikola Jokic all season long, and he ended up winning the MVP. And like, not to like pat myself on the back or anything, but like, it does matter. Steph Curry's value to the Warriors on the floor is going to be so obvious. It's been obvious in these playoffs. It was obvious during the regular season. It will be even more obvious no matter who they play in the finals, because the Celtics and the Heat are so good defensively. Like we talk about in these series, when you see teams get into like a finals, you're like, can they survive the non-whoever minutes? Like back when it was the Cavs Warriors 4 times in a row, it was, can the Cavs survive the non-LeBron minutes? Can in this Heat series, it's like, can the Celtics survive the non-Jason Tatum minutes with all these guys out? And you see that every single year. Like, no matter what the playoff series, the Bucks with Giannis, can they survive the non-Giannis minutes? Like, that's just the way it works. You look at the Warriors this year, and the reason why the Warriors are as good as they are is because, like, when their best guys come out of the game, they actually don't take like a drop. Like, they're plus 5.9 with Andrew Wiggins on the court this year. They're also plus 5.4 with him off the court. Klay Thompson, they're plus 3.5 with him on the court. They're actually even better with him off the court. They're all plus 6.4. So, like, and I can go down the list. Like Draymond Green, plus 6.6 on the court. Off the court, they're plus 5.3. So, like, they're better with a lot of these guys when they're, like, off the floor. They're still a positive team. Like, they're not like, oh, like we talk about like the Jokic. Like, Jokic in the game, the Nuggets are like plus 10. When he's out of the game, they're like minus 14. Like, it's a huge drop-off. The only guy you can say about on the Warriors that's completely different, Steph Curry on the floor this year, the Warriors are plus 10.1 points per 100 possessions. When he is off the court, they are plus 0.1 points per 100 possessions. So they go from a team that is 10 points better than the other team, basically per game, to a team that is even. That is how good Steph Curry is. So for me, if the Warriors make the finals, and we talk about, like, obviously if the Mavs make the finals, it's going to be Luka. There's nobody else who is going to steal it from Luka because he's going to have the ball in his hand so much. Same thing with Miami and Jimmy Butler. Boston, it's probably going to be Tatum, but maybe Jaylen Brown has like a crazy series and you can make an argument for him. If you look at the Warriors, yes, there might be a Jordan Poole game in there. Yes, there might be a Klay Thompson game in there. But if you want somebody who's going to do this for 6-7 games in a row and be the most gravity building player on the floor, like he had 12 rebounds last night. Like, just Steph Curry is the best player, I think, left in the playoffs. I think Luka Doncic is great. I still think Steph Curry is the best player left in the playoffs. I think the Warriors have the easier path than either of the teams in the East. I think they showed it last night against the Mavs. The Mavs can't play anyone on Golden State off the floor, and I think that's going to hurt them in terms of trying to win this series, because they're predicated on getting Luka and Brunson and Dinwiddie in favorable matchups and getting to the rim. I just don't see them being able to do that against this Golden State team. So if the Warriors make the finals, Steph deserves one, man, and he should win one. Like, I just don't think anybody else on this Golden State team is going to have a nightly impact in a 7-game series that he will if they win the finals.
Yeah, no, you're right on basically everything that you just said, and we've come to the part of the show where I'm going to push my agenda, because
I love it.
Listen, if Steph gets an MVP, I will finally have like another leg to stand on in the hashtag Steph Better conversation. I feel that Steph Curry, the person that Steph Curry is tied to for his career now, is going to be Kevin Durant, and I felt that throughout the KD era, Steph was still the better player. And I feel that, like, all time, Steph is the better player. If he gets one Finals MVP and we can knock that, out of the way, we can finally, like, we can have that conversation and be real with ourselves. The one thing that's concerning about Steph is the shooting, because it's crazy that, like, shooting is the concern with Steph Curry, because he missed like 3 or 4 free throws last night. His free throw percentage is down to like 82% in these playoffs. Normally he's at 91%. It's something like ridiculous. His 3-point shooting is normally in the playoffs around 40%, like 41%. He's down to 37, which is closer to average than like otherworldly, which is what we've come to expect from Steph. So if we get into the finals and the one place where I can see the Finals MVP being stolen from him is if we get to the finals and it's like a game 4 or something like that, and Steph ends up going 3 for 12 or 3 for 13 from three, and that just so happens to be the Jordan Poole 30-point game. Now there might be something where everyone's like, oh well, maybe Jordan Poole really stepped up.
Listen,
Like
I will
that's
have a serious problem if the Warriors win the title after all that Steph has done for with
yeah.
this team. And I agree with you on the KD thing. Steph was the bus driver, KD was the bus rider. Just gonna say that right now. But if they give Jordan Poole the Finals MVP,
Yeah.
man,
Listen, off
I
of gravity
will lose
alone,
it.
off of gravity alone, and you saw it so many times last night where Steph comes off the pick and roll, they double him, and now we can start playing basketball. And now all the reads are so much easier for everybody else. Like you think like Jordan Poole's able to play free because they're putting two on Steph. Klay Thompson can get wide open shots. Andrew Wiggins had about 3 or 4 open threes because they're doubling Steph off of every pick and roll. That's how it's been for the last decade, and their entire offense revolves around him. So listen, we're on the same page. The gravity, the on-off numbers, all of that. Like Steph Curry is and should be the favorite for Finals MVP.
Couldn't agree more. I think now, talked a lot of Steph. They don't play till tomorrow. So let's get into game of the night.
Let's do it.
Celtics Heat, game 2. Talk to me. What are you thinking for this game?
I'm going to zig where I think a lot of people are gonna zag. I think a lot of people are gonna see the total be raised because it was 204. It closed at 204. I was able to get it at 203. And I took the over in game 1. It is now 207 for this game. And I think a lot of people are gonna take the under. I might take the over. I'm not sure about Boston right now, but I am sure about Miami. So I'm going to take the Miami Heat team total over 105 points. It's minus 110. That game, even though that like it opened up in the third quarter, and obviously like I don't expect to see another 22-2 run by Miami. The Heat weren't necessarily playing bad offense in that first half. And you still had multiple spurts in each quarter where you had each team kind of be able to open up the game, kind of get into transition, get some threes. The Heat were at I think they were at 55 points. It was either 45 or 50. I think they were at 45 points.
52-45 at the half. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So they were at 45 points at the end of the first half. I don't think 105 is out of the realm for possibility. I think that even without a crazy run in the third, they end up getting there. You've been saying that Marcus Smart is going to be there tonight. Has it been announced? Because if Smart isn't there and if Smart isn't there and Derek White isn't there, the perimeter defense for Boston, especially when Tatum is out the game, is going to be very, very like it's going to be very, very key for them. Because
So
let's talk to me.
latest update from the Celtics an hour ago is that both Marcus Smart and Al Horford are preparing to return for game 2 in Miami. That's what
Okay.
they tweeted. So
Okay. Even with that, because I was much more confident when Marcus Smart was not scheduled to play, but I still think that Jimmy Butler is still going to have a good game. I think that Bam is going to be able to be a little bit more aggressive on the offensive end. He's kind of shied away from a lot of shots last game. If he's good, if your boy Victor Oladipo does what he's supposed to do, like Max Strus is still going to be a constant. They have a lot of guys. They have shooters who can make shots. I don't think that 105 is crazy. And listen, I'm fully preparing for this to be kind of a sweat. Like I don't think they're scoring 120 tonight. There's probably going to be like a 108 type of game, but 108, 109, something like that. But I think that Boston, even without Derek White, Boston still has a little bit to worry about on defense.
yeah, I don't hate that play at all. Crazy thing in this game, and we will get into our Twitter poll. So this game was at 3.5 this morning before Al Horford, before any of the news, before Derek White was ruled out, and before we knew about Marcus Smart and Al Horford. It is now a pick'em at WinBet.
Wait, what?
It is a pick'em. and WinBet's been doing reduced juice on their NBA, so it's minus 104 on either side to win. Yeah, crazy. So I took Miami earlier today before because I did not think Al Horford was going to play at minus 3.5. So for full transparency, that is what I am on tonight. But I am switching that. I'm taking my Miami to win though. I will say that right now. I'm taking Miami to win. I took them in my primetime parlay on the money line. And the thing with the Heat in this game, they are unbelievable as favorites under Eric Spoelstra, dude. This stat, like I couldn't believe this. As favorites under Eric Spoelstra in the playoffs, they're 65-33 against the spread and 75-23 straight up. That is nuts. In the playoffs, winning, I mean, 75-23, they're winning 75% of the time when they're a favorite. Which is that to me is crazy. Obviously now it's moved down to a pick 'em, so I guess technically doesn't apply, but earlier in the day it did. That's when I took this bet. But yeah, I think Miami wins this game. I don't think they win it easily. I think it's going to be kind of a slugfest, but not having Derek White really, really matters for the Celtics because Boston, like you said, their perimeter defense, it's going to be a little bit suspect. Marcus Smart's hurt. Like he has a mid-foot sprain. Steph Curry had a mid-foot sprain. He missed like the last 3 weeks of the regular season. Like it's probably not as severe, obviously, but this isn't some injury that you just like walk in and you're like, oh, the same guy. Like,
and he's had issues with it throughout the playoff, like at the end of the Milwaukee series as well.
Exactly. Like he's not going to be 100%. And the thing that worries me about Derek White being out, he's out for personal reasons. I don't know if we mentioned this. He's the birth of his first child. So he's back in Boston. He flew back today. So they're going to have to play Peyton Pritchard. And I don't mind Peyton Pritchard. I think he's a very good like option to get shots off the bench because he can play with the ball in his hands. He's a good spot up shooter. He's actually done some really good things for the Celtics in these playoffs. The issue was in game one is every time he was on the floor, Jimmy Butler was attacking him in switches. I mean, he was toying with him in the fourth quarter down the stretch. He was just pulling up and taking shots over him from 15 feet. And Pritchard's like, I can't even do anything. Again, not his fault. He's like 6'1". So Miami's going to attack him, and I just don't know how much Ime Udoka is going to be able to get away with playing him. Like if you look at their rotation, yes, you're going to have Horford and Rob, and you're going to have Grant Williams as your bigs, and maybe Tice gets in. I'd probably say not with Horford back. But then it's Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Marcus Smart, Peyton Pritchard. Like, that's basically what you got. Like, unless they're going to play Aaron Nesmith, like he has to play. They're just not going to. They don't have enough guys to not play him, and he's played in basically every game this postseason. So if he plays 20+ minutes, he played 30 minutes in game one. A game Smart missed earlier in the playoffs, he played 24. Like, if he plays around 20 minutes, that's 20 minutes of Miami hunting the hell out of him on defense. That, I think, is going to be really tough for the Celtics to overcome, and they're going to have to figure out a way to avoid that, which I don't know what that means. Does that mean you play big? Probably plays a little bit into Miami's advantage if they decide to play big. If they go like Grant Williams and Horford and Robert Williams, like I think the Heat will be fine with that. They're going to just make them shoot the three. So, I think Miami wins this game. I'm not as confident as I was earlier because before I thought Horford wasn't going to play, but that Eric Spoelstra favorite stat is pretty damning in my eyes for how good this team is. So I'll take Miami at home. I think they pull it out.
I like that as well. Again, we're gonna get to the poll, but I also would lean more towards Miami tonight. I think that the Grant Williams show is over. Him, knocking in 7 of 18 threes, that's not going to happen again.
I hope not.
That's not going to happen again. And my thing with the Celtics, and one of the main reasons, there's multiple reasons why I'm frustrated that they're even in this position in the first place. But it felt like, especially in the last series, that they needed some type of crazy, just like Nexus event to get a win against Milwaukee. Like in game one, they shot 65% from three in the first half. In game four, I forget. In game four, they had Al Horford had a playoff career high
game.
Yeah. He had a 30-point game. In game six, Jason Tatum drops 46 and has arguably the best game of his career. And then in game seven, Grant Williams goes 7 for 16. I was screaming on the table for the entire last series. Like, I want to see what you look like when that crazy stuff is not happening. And so for tonight, if none of that, like if Grant Williams isn't hitting 7 threes, if Al Horford isn't scoring 30, what does your team look like? And now that you're going to be down a man, especially like a very, very valuable defender like Derek White, I lean more towards Miami. And that Eric Spoelstra strat is crazy.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
nuts. And
So
the other thing is, and you talked about it a little bit when you're talking about the team total. Boston shot 59% in the first half in game one. They were only up 7. And then they got boat raced in the second half. And it's like, yeah, you're not going to shoot 59% for a full game, especially against this Miami team who can switch all 5 positions. Like, they got all those open threes against the Bucks because that's what the Bucks wanted them to do because they were playing the drop coverage with Brook Lopez.
yeah.
Miami doesn't do that. Bam Adebayo is probably the most versatile defender in the NBA. They're like, we're fine with Bam Adebayo switching on anybody because he can. So that will put you in a position where you're not swinging it around and Grant Williams has 10 minutes to take an open corner 3. Like, now it's, if he is getting a good look, it's somebody running at him with like an actual decent closeout. And that's going to be tough for guys that, aren't used to taking in the regular season 3s at volume. Like, Grant Williams took 18 threes in the game against the Bucks in game 7. He also probably was wide open for like 12 of those. So it made sense.
He's never
for him
getting that volume again.
Yeah, and he's not going to get those good of looks again, I don't think, in this series.
No.
Twitter poll time? How we feeling?
Let's get to it. Let's see what they're on.
Yeah, we put this out earlier in the day when the line was still at 3.5. And I believe the public is siding with the Celtics, if I'm correct. They are. Celtics tragic. Plus 3.5. So now, with the way it's gone down, technically public's on a Celtics money line here, Donnavan. So they got us. They don't agree with us. They don't like us today.
Listen, okay. Well, we can do this. We can find an alternate line. we can find
we could do an alternate line and take the Celtics plus 3.5.
We can do an alternate. Yeah, we could do an alternate line and get the Celtics plus 3.5 and still rock with Miami money line and just pray for the perfect scenario.
Perfect game. So Celtics plus 3.5 at WinBet right now is, give me 1 second, is minus 155. So you got to lay a little juice to get it there. But that's what happens when 2 key players get ruled in the last 2 hours, basically. So, I don't mind the Celtics plus 3.5 if this was, if it stayed there with these guys in.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, as a pick 'em, that's a little bit of a tough one.
Well, all right. Listen, the community has spoken. We're gonna stay true to our word. We're gonna rock with the community. We're gonna lock this one in. So we can go ahead. Both of us will be on Celtics plus 3.5 tonight, and also Miami money line, praying for the perfect scenario.
A little close game. Who doesn't love a close game, right? Come on.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so
this should be fun. This should be fun.
Yeah. That's our show, everybody. Appreciate all of y'all sticking around with us. Donnavan will be back tomorrow on Daily Betslip with Reed. They're going to take you through Warriors, Mavs, I'm sure, tomorrow, and whatever else is on the slate. So, again, appreciate you guys hanging in. Let's hope this perfect scenario works out for game of the night for all of us. We will talk to y'all tomorrow.